Okay, we are here for our 7:25 public hearing, proposed tax budget of 2020. We are 2 minutes late because it's 7:27. Amy, do you want to go over this?
Yes, I would be happy to. So every year prior to July 22nd, an original and one copy of our proposed tax budget for 2020 has to be submitted to the Lake County Auditor. In order to do that, we are required to fill out the tax budget worksheet, which is in front of you. Basically, it's the same thing every year. It talks about and this is only for real estate taxes. This doesn't involve any other taxes. You're required to hold a public hearing, which you're doing tonight. We're required to adopt it by July 15th and then send it to the auditor by the 22nd. Once that happens, then the county auditor has a public hearing with the Budget Commission. So the treasurer and the prosecutor and the auditor are part of the Budget Commission. Then honestly, I'm not sure what goes on. And then we get it back in September, and then you vote on it for next year. Okay. Currently, we have 3 levies on the books for outside millage. There's a 4 mil levy for safety services that's continuous, a fire levy that's not to exceed 5 years, 2.70, and a road levy that is a total of 2 mills. 1.7 was a renewal and 0.3 was an increase. So with that information, then we take the worksheet requires you to put down actual information for 2017, actual information for 2018. We take a look at the budget that we're doing for 2019. Are we on track? So it's an estimate. And then we guess what the estimate is going to be for 2020. Quite frankly, we have no control over the taxes that we get back from the auditor. I can't control who pays, when they pay, how they pay. The auditor holds back 4% of that, and then we get the taxes next year. And we'll have that information going into our permanent appropriations. All this is a required exercise this evening. We also have to list for them the schedule of indebtedness. Right now, inside the 10 mil limit, we have approximately $300,000 left to pay on our roadway. So the funds that this encompasses is the general fund, road and bridge fund, that's our inside millage, the fire levy fund, outside millage, road levy fund, safety services levy, and then we just tell the auditor what we think our indebtedness is. All of that information for next year is confirmed in January. So it's kind of a heads up, so to speak. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
No. Prior to receiving this document today, we had a work session on the matter. I don't have any questions. Connie, any questions?
I don't have any questions.
All right, we're going to open it to the general public. Any questions from the general public? You're welcome to come on up here.
Denise Brewster, 7207 Alexander Road. This question just came up as you were explaining it. The the road and bridge fund and the road levy. Could you clarify? Those are 2 different ones.
Yes, the road and bridge fund is considered inside millage along with the general fund. We get that from the state and the county.
From the state, okay.
Okay, that has nothing to do with approved elected or
Levy.
levy. It has nothing to do with levy. That's what we get to operate.
Okay.
So as a township, we're required to run the township. That's what the general fund is, and we're required to fix roads.
Right.
That's what the road and bridge is. The road levy fund is what has been voted on by the public.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Sounds great.
Sure.
Brian Massey, 8196 Rainbow Drive. This question was based, Amy, on what you had mentioned. Something I didn't know was the auditor holds back 4%.
Yes.
Is for what period, time period?
Until
The whole year?
Yeah.
Is that ORC?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, it's just they used to hold back 3%. Now they hold back 4%. It's been several years.
Yeah.
Any interest paid on that?
They don't pay
No.
interest on that, and that's,
No.
I can't say it derives from the ORC, but I'm not exactly sure the percentages listed in the ORC. And I think that's pretty much
Standard.
statewide, what the holdback is.
I just, again, from going to the meetings, the commissioners, I know that they're sitting on an awful lot of cash, and they're getting $4 million a year, and they're holding back 4%.
I can't comment
and
on that, Mr. Massey.
Yeah, I understand. I'll do some more homework, and I'll be
What-
glad to
What I
check in.
can tell you is it changed from 3% to 4% when people were not paying their taxes.
I
So it was always set up to be a cushion.
I'll get back to you when I
Thank
find
you,
out
I
the
would
rate.
appreciate that.
They also get paid to collect our taxes for us, so they
Right.
take some of our dollars and cents.
Upfront.
Upfront.
So they take a piece of the action.
Oh,
They-
yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'll ask that question to
But
them.
it's not just for them, it's also for the general health district, it's all for county, so they get paid first.
Okay. Well, I do know that we spend a lot of money collecting a lot of these tax lien certificates. I know there's a lot of money being distributed outside the county. In fact, it's going outside of the state. But I appreciate it very much. I'll do some homework on the 4%. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Come on up.
Hi, I'm Tom Hack, and I'm at 11575 Fay Road. So my question is this: I understand what we're doing here with this this public session on the budget and tied to the levies. I know that there are many other funds that are received tax money from the hotels and other things like that.
Yes.
My question is this: how are those allocated across these different areas? Are they applied to the general fund equivalents, or?
Every fund is different, they're considered a special levy fund, and they have certain restrictions depending upon what the fund is.
Okay.
We have 20 different funds, Tom, so.
Sure.
It depends on the fund. Capital projects is fed by hotel tax. So there's a percent, when we get hotel tax in, the 3%, that's split amongst the administrator with the general fund. That's also split against, not the general fund, but the administrative capital projects. It's only set aside for capital projects. It's also set aside for trucks in our service department and equipment in the fire department. So I can't pay salaries out of that money.
Okay, so it's strictly capital.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
And then, I'm sorry, go ahead. You were about
Well,
to say
and
something.
I'm like, that really has nothing to do with this, but
Right, so I guess my question is in being a citizen of Concord, how am I able, what's the best way to figure out how those other funds are being utilized?
you can call me and ask me anytime.
Okay, well, is there a way to, I know you have information on the website concerning those other funds, and you have the revenues and the expenditures and things like that, but is there a way to elaborate that online? I'm certainly happy to stop by and talk to you to get additional information, but is there a way that it might be put on the website as well?
Be happy to take care of that for you.
Okay, I'm just
Yep,
very
no,
curious.
yep, absolutely. We do, several times I've published things on permissive motor vehicle license tax, that type of thing, but if you feel that the public would like to see that in more detail, be happy to put that on the website for you.
Okay,
Okay.
terrific. Thank you very much.
What's the website now that we have that, paychecks? Or,
OhioCheckbook.com, that's detail,
that's detail?
right.
That's in there though, right?
Well, you can go into OhioCheckbook.com and simply look up everything we've spent and where the money's gone.
So I get, Tom, with regards to expenditures,
It's like an online bank book.
No, it's totally an online bank book for every
all
dime we've
that's
spent
on,
in the
all
last
that,
13
all that
years.
is online.
Right, but,
So he's asking specifically what the funds are restricted for.
Right.
right,
So-
it's true, but there's a lot of legwork that is required there, and it would be great if it was integrated.
Right, so I will take care of that for you.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Yep, thank
I
you.
can certainly call and set up a time with you. Thank you very much.
Okay, anything else? All right, Connie?
No.
Carl? All right, I'm gonna close the public hearing, and then we will now, do the Concord Township Board of Trustees, May 15th, general hearing, trustees meeting. Call to order, and please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call.
Mr. Malczewski.
Present.
Mrs. Luda.
Here.
Mr. Dondorfer.
Present.
Okay, Mr. Dondorfer is going to abstain from April 8th special meeting minutes, but we have, Connie, okay with April 8th?
Yes.
Okay, and
May 1st.
how about May 1st?
That-
Everybody okay with that?
Okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. So those will be approved. Elected officials report, Amy.
I have none, Mr. Malczewski.
Connie?
Nothing?
Carl?
I'm glad to be here in Concord, serving the residents of Concord Township. I'm looking forward to working with not only Paul and Connie, but with the citizens in the community. So I'm looking forward to working well together with everybody and Amy and the rest of the staff. So thank you.
Okay. I really don't have anything. I mean, again, calls on stormwater and, road projects and when are they beginning, and I guess the pains of the initial start of the county's project. But I'm glad they got started, and hopefully they'll finish quickly. With that, administration, Andy.
Thank you, Mr. Malczewski, members of the board, Mrs. Dawson, members of the audience, good evening. Trustees, our first limited home rule resolution is on the agenda for the second reading, so it is able to be passed today should you choose to. It is, again, a reminder, it is a confirmation of the township's road system and who is responsible for each road. We have two items that I'm requesting to bring up from the floor. These are for the hiring of 2 summer college interns, and that request for the 2 up from the floor is in front of you. We invite everyone to join us at 9 a.m. on Monday, May 27th, 2019, for a brief Memorial Day service at Concord Cemetery, which is located on Route 608, just east of Fire Station Number 1. This is a terrific time to honor and pay tribute to the veterans buried in our cemeteries and remember the loved ones that have gone before us. If you have any questions, you can contact Karen Warner, who's our cemetery sexton, and her number is 440-354-7518. Speaking of road construction, work should begin in earnest in the Far Hills subdivision sometime next week. The utility companies were in there this week doing some prep work. Next week, they should begin in earnest with full concrete repairs. Letters are being sent to all the affected residents by the contractor performing the work, indicating the schedule and how that's going to work. And this is all the work that's taking place on Jason and Christian Avenues in Far Hills. Yesterday, Mr. Dondorfer and I had a very exciting time. We attended the Public Records and Sunshine Law training on behalf of all the elected officials here in the township. I will be out of the office Monday, this coming Monday and Tuesday. I will be part of the JED contingent at the International Convention of Shopping Centers. We have a full itinerary, and we're hoping to have some fruitful discussions with various developers and retailers and try to bring more business back to Concord. We are progressing on our fire station replacement plans. We have the renderings, and they will be posted to the Concord Township website by the end of the week. And finally, I am asking for an executive session at the end of the meeting in order to discuss the sheriff's contract negotiations. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Okay, audience portion. Anyone from the audience that would like to speak? Come on up.
Tom Hack, 11575 Fay Road. So I guess to start from a point of understanding, so I have done a lot of research on property taxes in Northeast Ohio, including Lake County. I've done some demographic work as well, trying to understand you know, the trends in the population, especially the age, and I'm concerned about a confluence of issues. We have property taxes, which are always going up. We have a population which maybe in Concord is growing, but we also have a large population within Concord and frankly Northeast Ohio that's getting older. The Center for Community Solutions has done analysis, and they're expecting the number of people 65 and older to actually go up by approximately a third in the next 10 years. When we talk about the fire station, when we talk about the administration building and things like that, I do question whether or not we're going to be able to afford that as a community without having negative repercussions. We also have, you know, we want to be a place for new families, and every time we increase costs, that you know, that causes an issue as well. So I guess my question is this. So looking through the strategic plan, between the increase that's proposed for the part-time firemen, the three full-time, and then the captains, that's $444,000. That's increased. And if I look, and I may have been misreading this, some of the information from the what's it called, the tax budget, but you know, the fire and the safety, at least for this year, it looks like we're going to be running in deficit. We're talking about $444,000. I'm not exactly sure of the timing, but I'm seeing that we're obviously going to need more money for all this that's going on, and I'm just wondering have we done any analysis to see if the community actually is in a position to afford it?
Afford what?
Afford additional taxes.
Well, there's not an additional tax on the ballot yet.
I understand.
But with respect to dollars and cents in our budget, and I think we've always worked within a budget. We've never ran a deficit. The only one time we've ever borrowed money was for the road project that is out on Cryle and Capitol Parkway, and we were able to pay for that through JED revenue. With respect to, you know, the population getting older, that's accurate. That's throughout the county. It's always been a concern of Concord Township, and so that's why we've had several discussions about different housing stocks, several discussions about economic development to offset those costs. With respect to Concord Township and Concord Township government and how that is run, we've always ran inside a conservative budget. In the last 14 years, I think the millage on Concord Township's part was only went up by 1.3 mills, and even with that, we did a couple of things that earlier things that we could have went ahead and replaced. We did it prior to the year, so that in reality it was more like a 1.2 increase in millage, because we didn't take certain advantages of waiting to a later date to go ahead and pass that. So it actually became cheaper for those previous mills. So as of right now, mostly what has increased, at least in this area, has generally been school levies, Auburn, Lakeland, Riverside schools. Those have increased most of the taxes. That being said, certainly benefits to the community too. Those bring in younger kids. Those provide you know, a newer system that people are proud to move in, and we continue to have the property values continue to rise in Concord Township. So, you know, with respect to investments, investing in a home in Concord Township, properties are rising about $54 million a year. So just not new stock, but just old stock that is being you know, revalued. That's a pretty significant valuation. I think it changes. So I think it certainly suggests that Concord Township is kind of vibrant. Now, if we're going to talk about fire stations, our fire stations are very old, and they're very, for lack of a better word, very humble. Nowadays, they don't hold a typical fire truck As a brand-new fire truck that would be built at standard size, we have to buy smaller trucks now, and it costs us some money, so they fit in these stations. Now, they're probably 60-some years old, the fire stations
Yeah.
are. So, and nowadays, because of science and medical effects, we're realizing that our firefighters are suffering, obviously, cancer. And we have, we certainly had a resident whose name is on a bill that passed. So just out of safety concerns, out of the general safety for Concord Townships, there is a need for at least a review and continued review that we have about replacing our fire stations. That's a decision that this board will make at one point, and eventually to place, to place that on a ballot for the general public to look at. And that's a decision of what the public wants, if they want new fire stations or not. It is certainly this board's position, at least this person's position, that if we're going to do that, we're going to look at alternative financing. One of those alternative financing is the JED dollars, and so those JED dollars have been used to finance road projects, and then hopefully they'll be used to finance fire stations when we find that they are necessary, and they are getting very, very necessary.
And terrific. And a point of clarification, what I was saying when, for example, the roads and budgets, or the roads and bridges, and also the fire levy, for sure, we're spending more than you're taking in. In the end, you still have a positive cash balance, but you are, for example, for the fire levy, you're $200,000 projected to be expenditures over revenues. In the end, you still have a positive balance in the account, but you're spending more than you're taking in. But going just to dovetail as well.
Just, excuse me.
Sure.
So one of that is we save up for large pieces of equipment
Okay.
that are worth about $500,000. And we do that and pay cash for it, so that
Okay.
we get a huge discount. We saved probably about $40,000
Okay.
by doing that. And that's one of the things that you've seen in the last 4 years that we've done,
Okay. And
primarily
and that's
because of
certainly
that.
prudent.
So we only finance if I know that we can pay off quickly,
Sure.
or that we need a very large dollar amount, a capital amount, to do that.
Okay. And
So this covers January through December. We actually have our cash flow from March. We get our cash flow in March and in October every year. So you have to carry over balances. It's never going to even out. Do you know what I'm saying? But yes, there are times when we put in a roadway or we do a very large project, we plan for that ahead of time so that we spent more money. Yes, we absolutely did. But we plan for that.
Okay, and
Currently.
that makes perfect sense.
Yes.
And I'm familiar with that in other areas. You talked about, Mr. Melchewski, you talked about whether or not we might have a budget, or not a budget, but a levy, some of it coming from the JED, which would certainly would benefit everyone. But if there is a levy needed, and in the plan that I saw, or the strategic plan, there was talk about having a continuous levy. And so my question is, I'm very familiar with continuous levies, and frankly, in another capacity, I voted for them. I wish I hadn't, frankly, now that I understand the tax situation better. But how would you be in support of a continuous levy, and if so, why?
Well, it depends. So, for instance, if you're going to finance something, okay, and it's going to be over a long period of time, townships can only do 5-year levies or continuous. So, if you're going to build a building, and let's just say the building's $10 million, okay, that's a pretty hefty 5-year levy if you're going to use that levy to pay for that building. If you extend it and make it, it's a lot less per year, you're gonna have to put that on as a continuous. And in the past, and then you can go ahead and get rid of it. And in the past, you can get, and we have gotten rid of levies in Concord Township. There's others that have gotten rid of levies in Concord Township. But to go ahead and bond something, to go, to build a building, you're gonna need greater than a 5-year levy to do that, because obviously the bonding companies want to make sure that you're going to get that continued income, and that's guaranteed. Otherwise, they won't bond it. So that's the reason why you would do something like that. And it's only one option, but it's the reason for that.
Okay, so I'm familiar with some aspects of levies, I would not say that I'm an expert on them across the board. So from what you're saying, a township is not able to actually put on a bond levy for any period of time, such as
Our levies are only 5 years or continuous.
Okay, but you can't do a capital interest.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay,
No.
and can you, so you mentioned as well that Concord has removed a continuous levy.
We removed levies. Yeah, but I don't think we've ever had.
They weren't continuous.
Yeah, we never removed a continuous one, but we
But we
removed
did
levies.
remove levies.
Do you, off the top of your head, do you have an example?
We removed the police levy.
Yeah.
We removed, and then we removed.
One of the fire department levy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we removed one of the fire levies. So.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much.
Do I need to do my others?
No,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay. All right. Yeah, just to, reiterate what Tom was saying, continuous levies are a concern, especially to seniors, because, as it was indicated and, with the strategic planning, that, these funds are going to continue to fund future projects that we may or may not have a say about. And so I'm reading right off the thing here where it says community center, cemetery expansion, roofs, parking lots. And I know that you just were putting out a lot of different ideas and options. But the concern is that we just had an increase in our property taxes, so we're paying more for that. We're paying for the levies that have already been passed. And there is great concern about, pushing people out of the community because they can't afford to live here anymore. Most people want to downsize, which is something I've done myself, but yet my expenses are higher in half the house that I'm living in, and only a third of the property. So it's pretty interesting how that's seen tax-wise, newer construction, I guess. But the fact being that,
Are you suggesting you're not paying more taxes to Concord Township, though?
I'm paying more taxes than I was at my other place
Yeah, but-
because of the new evaluation. Although I did get 11% off.
But-
But originally it was a 25% increase
But
in
that's-
2 years.
That's the value of your house, though.
They reduced it by 11 because of the way it was done. It was kind of done like drawing a circle, or
I mean-
it wasn't an individual consideration.
But you appreciate that when you pay your tax bills, not all those dollars and cents are going to Concord Township.
Right.
Yeah,
In
I-
fact, the least amount of your taxes are going to Concord Township. So it's about 17% of those taxes go to Concord Township. And as we sit here and look at levies and safety services, I mean, there's a decision you have to make, and, there's a 5-year levy for the fire levy. So the question becomes, do you want to renew that fire levy, what's that, up 22?
2022.
So 2022.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't renew that, you're not going to have as many firefighters and EMT workers there, and so therefore, you become less safe because of the emergency services that can't provide there. In addition to that, your insurance, because of the lack of funding, your insurance cost goes up because your homeowner's insurance is tied to the safety forces that are in the township. And so you may end up actually paying more dollars and cents for not having passed that levy than if you did pass that levy.
Well, with the increase, one of the questions I had when it was talked about is that there is inside millage. Does that mean that with the increase in property taxes, you'll be receiving more money? Yes.
I'll find out next year.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, that's what
I
I'm
mean,
I
saying.
mean,
that's-
it should
should.
raise a little bit,
A
but.
little bit, but it's not that much, Denise. It's-
Well, and it's the same thing with schools. They'll be getting some more money
Oh,
too,
yeah.
so that all has to be factored into.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But as-
whatever it is.
And as you go through, I mean, like, you give you an example though, on a general, on a $500,000 house, there's probably about tax dollars, probably about $1,200 that goes to Concord Township on a $500,000 house, maybe less, maybe $1,100, $1,150. So in my parking lot of my office, that will fill about 4 potholes, you know. And when you talk about redoing a road or redoing those things, I mean, that's what we talk about saving money, is that, you know, it is, it doesn't make a lot of sense to replace a road, the dollars and cents that each house pays on that road never will pay for that new road to be put in there. So we're putting new roads in on Christian and Jason.
It's a
It'll
$1 million
take 100
project.
years for those guys to really repay those roads. And so really what you're doing is you're using the tax dollars that are on Alexander or tax dollars that are on Stratford Road to repave those roads. And then we're going to save up more and we're going to pay another road. So, you know, you have to be smart and use other alternatives to make dollars and cents. That's one of the purposes that we got the JED for, you know, is to make sure that we can kind of offset some of these increases.
Well, and we also
Um,
go for OPWC funding, so, and that's a 2-year cycle that you have to
Yeah.
get back.
And then you had the general, just last week, last meeting, we were told that our salt purchase is gonna be up by $50,000 or $60,000 next year. Gas prices will go up, you know, repair costs, vehicles. Years ago, we waited 1 year to save money up to buy a fire truck, but because of the new EPA standards that went in that fire truck, it cost an extra $100,000. We were able to, you know, we saved up and we didn't have to borrow any dollars and cents, so, you know, costs go up as well. And just like everywhere else.
Well, and that's the thing, it's going up. I mean, even if you look at, you know, 60 Minutes with the cost of generic drugs, I mean, people shouldn't have to make choices about whether they can afford medication or pay their taxes. So I just want to caution you about how much and how rapidly we move forward on this, because there are some things out there. For example, you know, we are doing the license tax, but then, you know, there's a movement with the additional tax on gasoline, and again, that's going to have us all paying, but some of that money is supposed to help fix roads and
Yeah, I mean,
bridges.
the license tax, I think, or it was the license fee, I think it was, we made net 20 grand out of that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
well, that's a small
and
amount.
it's
I
a-
don't know
it's a
what
s- you know.
others would be.
You know, and what they did was, and so I think everybody's got to be well aware of this. So in the Kasich administration, when he first got into office, and so that's about, what, 9 years ago, he started to reduce state taxes. So he started, you know, and he cut our local government funds. So dollars and cents, the dollars and cents that you would pay from your state taxes that would go to Columbus, some of those dollars and cents would come back to Concord Township. Certainly not as many as the dollars that went there. Then what happened is they cut the local government funds, so we didn't receive those things. And then you started to see probably in his about 3rd year in office, you started to see your state taxes go down lower and lower and lower. But your local government started to get less and less and less. And the whole purpose of that was to put the dollars and cents in the hands of the general public locally. And so now you have a lot of, you have other additional levies that are going out, and people are saying, well, geez, my property taxes are getting higher because they're still asking for levies, or you're putting a strain on those things. And The reason why those things occurred is because the state government stopped taking less taxes out of your state tax dollars. They stopped giving local government money, and they wanted to put it back in the local hands. And so then we all have choices to make as we head to the ballot box each year, and whether or not we vote for that levy or not that levy. But those are all services. I mean, it would seem to me that what you want to really do is see where do the dollars and cents go. I mean, we spend time putting our dollars and cents into, technology for the firefighters so that they save lives quicker. We put every fall, we're sitting down here and seeing where we are able to save dollars and cents throughout the year so that we can throw more dollars and cents into the roads, and that's strictly to asphalt and concrete. So can we get another cul-de-sac done? Can we get another portion of the road done? And that, those events, I talk about that every fall, on these meetings, and every fall we try to put a little bit more into, extending a project. Because you really, the dollars and cents come from the taxpayers, and it should go back into the product the taxpayers drive on. The roads, the fire, the policing. So we're very conscientious about doing that.
Yeah, well, that was my other comment, was about the long-range road plan, because, I mean, obviously, just having construction, let's say, on Cryle Road, which is not your responsibility, I don't think, is that road?
That's county road, but I could tell you that twice today, I've already advocated to the county to start making repairs on that
Yeah,
road.
I know,
And they
it's
will,
really
and,
bad.
and, and it is awful. I drive it every day, I know. But, again, that's our job, to continue to advocate and say, listen, we want this road done.
Right.
Now, that being said, everybody that's getting Morley done right now and benefiting from that, they've been asking for that for a while. Morley and Hoos and Button, those were roads that they, for the last 5 years, people have been asking to do, and we were able to get a little bit of that done last year and some more of it done this year.
Is Hermitage your road?
Hermitage is county road.
County. Because that's another one that takes a beating, because it's more of a cut through than the amount.
It is, the Hermitage Road is a tough road.
Right. But, I'm glad that you're monitoring it. It just seems like, we can't control the conditions when they happen. Roads need patching, or you're going to have major damage to your car. So whether we need to accelerate this long-range road plan or just do some better patching or whatever, it just seems like that is going to have to be a priority that can't wait.
And you're absolutely right, but on the other hand, we patch, we got the Durapatcher, and there's a lot of people who dislike that Durapatcher, but we got that Durapatcher because it's literally a Band-Aid for roads. And we use that Band-Aid for roads because
You need to.
there's no way that you would want to hear what a levy increase would be to
Oh, I know.
fix the roads they're supposed to do. And we got numbers on that, and they were just astronomical. And so then we started to do alternative things to the roads. So we've done some roads that we've had a chip seal with an overcoat on, or a fog coat on. We've done some white topping. We've used a Durapatcher. We do a lot of things in-house. Our service department guys do a lot of things that a lot of other road departments don't do. Okay, so I'll give you for example. You won't see our guys painting the sidewalks as some other road departments do, because our guys are out there filling holes, rebuilding roads. The cement roads, they go down 18 inches down and rebuild those roads. So, those things are put in place on a daily basis, making sure that we get, you're literally taking levy dollars and dumping them into the roads and filling potholes with them.
I just want to make sure there's enough of a cushion to do those unexpecteds. And because part of it, and I know Andy's dying to talk here about the possible funding options for a fire station, but, it's timing. it's timing. And right now, I'm a little nervous, especially we've got, you know, 2 trustee seats up in the fall. I don't know what your timing is. Originally, the recommendation was to run it this November. I don't know.
Well, here's a couple things. First of all, with respect to making sure that you're able to cover emergencies, we've paid attention to that. We've had experiences with those things. We've had several emergencies that we were able to. We had a major road emergency with respect to an infrastructure project that just fell apart, and that was Morley Hills 2, and we were able to cover that and take care of that. We had a flood that basically leveled Fay Road and made a mess there, and we had to cover those roads. So where there's going to be infrastructure failures and emergencies, we're very conscientious of making sure that we do those things. The other thing is at least in the last 14 years that I've been on this here, we don't build things that frivolously. We have modest facilities. Our fire stations are modest. We have a modest town hall. We have modest offices, and we take a lot of pride in those things. I think those are good things. I think those are things that humble you, and I think that's they have a certain historic value. But ultimately, though, at one point, I do ask you, take a walk through the fire stations. Mm-hmm. They are. Go to Station 2. Go to Station 1. They are. I mean, they are.
Both every day.
Go over to go look at Leroy's.
Yeah.
Go look at Menors. Go look at Painesville Townships. Okay, and take that review. So if we're going to do something with regards to fire stations, and I think and I think that there's a need to do something. It's going to require multiple revenue streams, which is going to be, there's going to be dollars and cents that are going to have to come from other places, i.e. the JED, and that's what it's for. And there's going to probably have to be, some type of levy on there. And what that is going to, and our ability to go ahead and do that is going to have to be a determination from the general public of what they want, and what they see as a benefit to that. So I mean, that's not necessarily anybody's decision, but the voters.
That's right.
Well, I did, and Andy's been great about, getting back to me, and I did make the suggestion about the Russell Fire Department, and our people did go there, our fire people went there, because they were able to build that station at a fraction of the cost. Actually, I think it was half of what Chagrin Falls wanted to build one at, and Chagrin Falls was never able to pass the issue because it wasn't cost-effective to the community. I only worry about the fact that, yes, we'd like to have A, but maybe we can't afford A, or maybe we can't afford it right now. I don't know. But I want to make sure that we're not pricing ourselves out. And I know that there were things about the Russell Fire Station that they would change because it's been built for a while. Obviously, specs are going to change. But I think that, the dollars spent, you know what it's like to shop. You could go and buy the same thing sometimes for half the price if you go somewhere down the road. I'm just saying. Okay, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Brian Massey, 8196 Rainbow Drive. Perhaps you know this, Mr. Malcheski. I agree with you that the state has definitely put a real burden on the local communities by reducing the local government funds. The studies we've done, it's been pretty obvious what they're trying to do, push everything back to the local communities. But the other studies that we've done, there's a group called the Center for Community Solutions, and they arrived at a formula called the Housing Affordability Threshold. If you own a home, you add 3 factors: the mortgage, if you still have a mortgage, your utilities, and your property taxes. If those 3 factors add up to 30% or more of your annual income, then that house is deemed unaffordable for you. That doesn't mean that you have to move out of the house. That just means that you have less disposable income for other things, such as food, your insurances of anything, or vacations. And the research that we have done, if you're a renter, you would just take the two factors, your utility and your monthly rent. What we have found, I don't have numbers for Concord specifically, but for Lake County, the renters, 55% of the people are already paying 30% or more of their annual income. And for those that own homes, I believe, my memory serves me correctly, something like 35% of the people are paying more than 30%. So it is a bit, disconcerting. It is a challenge. I agree that the schools are taking about 68 to 70% of the property taxes, and I agree 17%, for the township. So you do have a real struggle in trying to, meet all the needs of a growing community. I don't mean to diminish that at all, but as someone that has spent a lot of time looking at the numbers, I'm really concerned for the citizens, not only of Concord, but of the entire county itself. We are in real trouble. My personal opinion, there needs to be a paradigm shift in how we educate our kids. We cannot continue to spend, Riverside's talking about $66.6 million to renovate, or $100 million for a new school. They haven't said it's going to be November. I heard today that they may not put it on November, but it is just a challenge. I know it impacts you. I know you can't do anything about it necessarily, but it does impact you. So I would say just be very cognizant, because we will be, looking.
Well, government's choosing, right? I always thought the purpose of government is choosing, and every now and then you choose A over B, right? There's only so many dollars to go around, and generally, the purpose of whatever group that is formed is that if we went into it all together, it must be cheaper that way than that. I think the education system's going to change significantly in the near future. You have more kids going from spending less time in the high school and now heading to Lakeland, right? Getting 2-year degrees, as they're exiting.
But it's not. I've done a lot of study on that. That's not free.
No, it's not free.
It's not free.
No.
And there's, and we spent a lot of time, on that. But again, the taxpayer is paying $20 million a year at Lakeland. 10 years ago, we were paying $10 million, and they've got a 30% decrease in their enrollment. We're spending more money on education with less kids going to the school. It doesn't make sense to me. So I'm saying that there has to be a significant, that's not in the purview of your offices.
No, but we used to have, when Mike Rock was at the school system, he was the treasurer, but he used to come in our meetings, and at least the purpose of having him in here was to try to educate us a little bit about, how schools are funded, and how that inside millage took place, how, in the 80s, all of a sudden they kind of combined those things, and I thought that was, I certainly think that's a good way to use these meetings, is to have more individuals like that to kind of come in here and give us some little tidbits. The health district, Concord Township, by law, contributes to the health district. Second in Lake County. There's Menor, and then there's Concord Township. Because Concord Township's property value, the valuation is second in the county, only to Menor. And obviously we're a lot smaller than Menor. We become a donor to the health district, and other communities benefit from that. Now, that being said, maybe we have a safer, hopefully we have a safer Lake County because of that, and therefore, less disease and less problems that enter Concord Township. But those are things that Amy worries about on a daily basis.
Well, I also worry from the county standpoint. We seem to spend an awful lot of money on the treatment side of the drug and alcohol. And unfortunately, not many of our leaders are really addressing the supply side. So if I can talked to our community at all, I said, talk to your leaders about doing something about the supply side of the drugs that are killing our kids in the community. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
absolutely.
There we go. That's good. Perfect, thank you.
Sure.
Hi, Vanessa Pesic, 11705 Cali Court. I heard a couple things. One was the JED helping subsidize some of the roads and road construction. So are you now allowing JED money to be utilized on roads? I thought JED money only was inside the JED.
No, we're currently using the JED funding to pay back the loan that we took out for the Auburn Crowell Road. The JED money was the security for that, in case we couldn't pay. But that's what we're currently using all those dollars for. The TIF money, we're using the TIF money and we're using the JED money to pay back that loan.
And when will that loan be paid back?
Well, I'm hoping to take care of that this year, which will have been 3.5 years, and it's a 20-year loan. So there's no prepayment penalty if we pay it off early.
Okay, so, Mr. Malczewski, you said that the JED was could be utilized for roads. Is that true?
It is being utilized for roads right now. Using to pay the road off
For Auburn Crowell.
for Auburn Crowell.
Okay, but within the JED, but not outside of the JED?
It's a lot, it could be used outside the JED under certain parameters.
Okay, so that's a change
it-
from how,
No, it's always been able to do, as long as it has a certain nexus to the JED area.
do you ever see that being utilized, or are you that's just theoretical? I mean, that's a nice,
No, I think it's gonna be a requirement of Concord Township. Wouldn't you agree?
I'm just trying to understand, because the board a year or two ago said there was no way that it was going to be utilized outside the JED. So I'm just trying to understand where the position is on the board.
I can't recall that statement.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the JED contract, the JED law is, contract hasn't changed, but the law has changed a little bit on that, but it's always had to have a nexus to the JED area. Obviously, if you use, whatever that nexus is, and if it's within the bounds of the law, it'll be used, it's gonna benefit Concord Township. But if JED dollars goes over there and they're being used over in the JED area, there's less dollars that you need to be using fire levies money for, or safety forces money for, or other inside millage for, and therefore, you can go ahead and move those dollars and cents elsewhere.
Got it. And regarding the whole fire station, new buildings, how much have we spent so far in coming up with the fire study, and then now the first set, now the second set of drawings and stuff?
We started with the fire station and doing studies on fire stations. Probably every year we've spent some dollars and cents.
But the major study was what, like 2 or 3 years ago?
No, I
And then-
can't say that, because I know we did one at least 10 years ago that we
Right,
were,
Right, the
in
most
areas.
recent one that talked about the 3 fire stations.
And then there was one that I would say there was a study done that was countywide, that I don't believe it cost any money to Concord Township, but I participated in it, and Mayor Anderson chaired it. At the time, he was the Willoughby mayor. Reed McMahon was on it. I can't remember who else. Jim Lyons was our legal counsel on it. But that was probably a 3-year study of just based on a basic, what can we do countywide with regards to fire departments? How well can they play together? What can they do can we combine forces? Can we have a fire districts? That piece, along with that other 10-year piece, went into the next piece of just figuring out whether or not we need, how many fire stations do we need? Where should they be? That was probably Andy, was that about 3 years ago that might have came in?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Kathy?
Yep.
And then,
So the question is, how much have we spent in the last 3 years on the study and then on these drawings?
I don't know, on the drawings, do you have any idea?
Well, we have the contract with the,
LeMay?
yes,
LeMay
Erickson.
Erickson.
Yeah.
So that was a purchase order that you approved. Is that $152,000?
Yeah, but we haven't spent that
No,
$152,000
we haven't.
yet.
It's just, it's,
Well, we spent a portion of
we
it.
spent
Yeah,
a
we spent a
portion of it,
portion
but
of
we
it.
We've
haven't.
been invoiced and we've spent portions of it, but that,
So that's for the drawings of a fire station, so they can actually give us dollars and cents of what will it cost.
You know,
PO is
Vanessa,
for
if you,
100 and something.
if you'd like, I'd be happy to sit down and put, I don't have that off the top of my head. Okay, it's been over 3 years. If you'd like, I'd be happy to sit down and tell you what the PO was for the last fire chief study. I mean, I think that's what you're looking for, the fire chief study, the LeMay Erickson. Those are the only, that and the piece of property that we bought over next to the other fire station. Those are the only costs right now that have actually gone into this.
Right, so.
So if you want to know what those figures are, I'd be happy to get that for you and give it to you on Friday.
That's fine. So, you know, the other question is, did the township do an alternative study? So instead of saying we need to build new from the ground up, but instead utilize the existing buildings and modify them and add to them? Was that study done, and do you have a copy of that?
Well, obviously, Station 2, you can't add to, because there's not enough room there.
Station 2 is the one on Proudy?
Station 2 is around
I
Proudy.
thought you bought the property next to it, behind it, and
Right, but I mean,
Patty
you got to
corner.
build a building. You'd have to start anew. You couldn't redo that building. I mean, it's basically a two-car garage.
It's very humble.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, right? I mean, please stop in there, take a look, go see. I mean, you go see where the quarters that they have. Look at the garage and what they have to put in there. What a new vehicle size is and how that would fit. Look at Station 1 here is just equally. We had to modify the new fire truck so that it fit in the garage, and it just, I mean,
barely
About an
fit.
inch, 2
I mean,
inches.
it's like an inch.
Yeah.
The modification there is it's again, they're very, very humble. They're not like, and since then, look how much the township's grown. So look how many more firemen we have, look how many more paramedics we have, look at the vehicles that we have now. Let's
so so there was no study
The
done, or
engineers have
architects
done it.
didn't look at it?
Yeah,
They did?
They looked at it.
Okay, cool. So do you have a copy then you could give me of what their findings were?
I don't have a copy of it, and I'm sure our fire chief has something, but, I mean, if you looked at that, that's not something that you're gonna waste time on modifying those places. I mean, they don't even meet standards. And, with regards to the carcinogens that are on their uniforms and the way that those have to be cleaned, there's not even a room to clean those in, let alone the proper barriers that you're supposed to clean those in. We retrofitted the building so that we have, proper exhaust, so that when they turn the engines on, they don't gas themselves. Those things have always been retrofitted as years have gone on, and I know I certainly, have been part of those purchases over time. Now, in the new fire station, a lot of those newer items that we did purchase can be brought over to another fire station, or an addition.
Got it.
We also have grant money available from NOPEC that we're saving and not spending on other things. So we would be spending that on new fixtures, things like that, to upgrade them.
Great, to upgrade the fire department. So, as Denise said, the composition of the board will be changing significantly probably next year. And it seems that putting a levy on the ballot this November, when citizens haven't even heard about the fire station yet or thought about the fire station, you may have said it, and it may be 10 tabs deep in the website, but the population in Concord probably does not know too much about the fire station. It would be, I think, really useful to, you know, to have a real discussion about that.
We had an open houses for them. I mean, recently, we had open houses, and so that was part of the discussion, saying, hey, we're having these open houses, come out here, see our fire stations.
Uh-huh.
You know.
To see the new fire station concepts and all?
I don't know necessarily.
Mr. Milczewski?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. During the recent Easter egg hunt and the new fire truck push-in ceremony, we invited the public in to tour the fire stations. The conceptual drawings were placed on the wall, and anybody could look at them, anybody could ask questions, anybody could take a look and compare what the drawings look like compared to what they have now. They also did the same open house in Station 2, and they put the conceptual plans for both stations at both stations
Right.
for everybody to start looking at and get people to start thinking about fire station replacement, enhancements, and things like that. And I would just like to, one other thing I would like to state, some of the documents I think Mr. Hack and Mrs. Brewster and you are referring to, those were strictly my recommendations at the strategic planning meeting. I just want to make sure everybody understands that. That was strictly an administrator's recommendation going forward.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, with respect to plans, those plans are gonna be controlled by the fire department with respect to what those fire stations look like and operate. And you know, the idea is that these firefighters certainly have a way that they need to move throughout the building and get to their vehicles and back, and how things have to be washed. And so those stations should be designed and will be designed from the inside out, meaning that, you know, they're purely for functionality. That's the way they're supposed to be, and that's the proper way to build a fire station. The concern I have with several fire stations that have recently went up are there's not a good example of one that is functioning well, and two, they're not holding up very well. And so, that's the other issue that, that's probably the bigger, more important issue of why those fire stations are failing. Why are they not working or operating like the way they're supposed to be operating?
Right. So again, I would just ask that, because the board is changing significantly, and things that a levy, you really consider waiting until the new board is established and everything before you put something out on the levy.
Let me ask you a question. Why would that be? I mean, the taxpayers are going to make a decision on, hypothetically, if they put them up, taxpayers are eventually going to make a decision on the need for a new fire station. Why would it make a difference on what the board makeup is?
A new board may be more conservative and decide that they want to.
It's the taxpayers' decision, though,
Shush,
right?
Shush.
Right? I'm just having a conversation.
So it may be that the new trustees decide that they want to put a little bit more money in, and save a little bit more money before they go and spend $18 million. So that you put more money aside so that if there was another big problem, another infrastructure disaster that needed to be paid, Concord would be in really good financial shape. So that would be the reason. Regarding some other, just two other things, I just wanted to clarify that, Amy, you said that like the annual budget, you'll put that on the website. Was that what you meant? I think that.
No, what Mr. Hack was asking for was, he was asking specifically for, please correct me if I'm wrong, but he wanted to know what the purpose, so our special funds are restricted to special things. I can't use fire department money for
right.
the road and things like that, and he was asking for the definitions of each fund, what the money could be spent for.
I see, okay.
But our all that information is available in the levy, so the resolutions, I believe that the resolutions are all listed on the website. Every resolution, every permanent appropriations resolution is on the website. You can go on there and get that information. We also have, and we were one of the premier townships here, because I fought for that, is every dime that we've spent over the last 6 years is on ohiocheckbook.com. Anybody can go onto that and get that information. So, as well as in our minutes, every listing of every check we spent. And we've been doing that for the last 40-some years, so.
That's great. So, look, when I look at, how is Concord doing, I'd like to just see an annual budget for each of the funds,
Okay.
What is it being spent, and then in the end, how much did we spend? Or
Well, you have that. So you have the permanent appropriations are listed on the website every year. And every month, the trustees, we do a listing every month of the financial information.
that.
Yeah, it's on there every single month. You
every
can go-
month, but is there a place where I can just see the
It's
whole
underneath
year?
the fiscal
You
officer.
want to see like a
It-
bar graph and a pie graph.
That is on ohiocheckbook.com. Also, the 1231 statements, every year of that monthly budget that they take a look at, at least since I've been here for the last 14 years, are listed on the website underneath the fiscal officer.
Okay, I looked to see all of the things, and I didn't see exactly that. So I will look more closely.
Okay?
And
then let
maybe-
me know if that,
Yeah,
Solves your-
if that works or doesn't work. Good. But
Okay.
I know I saw a lot of different things. Thank you.
so, but yeah, specifically, that's the annual monies that we spend are there for the last 14 years. ohiocheckbook.com. I mean, I'm not gonna post a budget of the previous year when it's already gone past, so.
That's fine. And then
But the permanent appropriations are the budget, Vanessa.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. And then just the last question is, at the end of 2019, what is the expected lump sum of money that we'll have left at the end? Approximately. I know you can't say
I'm
exactly.
not going to speculate on that. I have no idea what's gonna happen with the roads this summer, if vehicles are gonna break down.
There should be a portion of it that carries over, because you don't
We
get
carry-
anything
we
till March.
carry
So you have
over-
to have a carryover to cover January, February,
Right,
March.
right.
We actually didn't get any money until April 15th this year. So you gotta have money to carry over those,
Yeah.
basically
Okay.
4 months now.
If that's what you're asking, we carry over between $4 and $5 million every year, because we have to use that money in the first quarter before we get our next real estate taxes.
So-
Right.
So you really can't go by the fiscal year. There really should be a township year instead to equate that. But as we start to get, things that we save for fire trucks. We save for road projects. And we like to, like again, in the fall, I like to sneak an extra road project or two in if we can. Those are generally small, tail end,
And if the weather is.
yeah, if the weather permits. We like not to, salt heavy on our roads because twofold, salt's expensive and salt kills the roads and therefore more expensive because it creates Cryle Road, what you see all over Cryle Road. So, you know, those things are, you know, and those save small dollars, but they do add up.
Okay, so we can't do 2019 because it's projection and there's this carryover. So how much did we have in the bank at the end of 2018? Not considering the carryover, but like, what do we really have in terms of savings for rainy day in case disaster would strike?
Well, we used our rainy day funds on on Heisley Road several years ago.
Morley Road,
Morley Road.
or Morley Hills 2
Right.
subdivision,
Yeah.
which was a, you know.
We carried over between $4 and $5 million last year, the same as we have been the last several years, because with our current spending rate, that's what we have determined we need currently. That doesn't take into effect if a fire truck completely breaks down and I need to get another one. At that point, we would have to look for alternative funding,
right.
like the JED dollars. Okay, we have things like EMS that we pay for vehicles and equipment. So when they need an ambulance, we'll save up EMS dollars for 2 or 3 years beforehand. I think we're pretty proactive in doing that. Having said that, we were fine because we carried over what we needed to carry over, even though some entities were used to getting paid out at the end of March, kind of put a little cushion in there to make sure that we carry over until April. We have a $12 million approved budget. We are only at 37% of the budget right now, and I will tell you that, if I can get that information, you know, right now we should be at 42% of the budget, so we are below budget. I don't anticipate we'll spend $12 million. That's where your rainy day quote-unquote fund is. I always budget for more than we're actually I believe we're going to spend, so that if something comes up or we have to spend money, then the trustees can make that decision at that point in time.
Okay, right, thank you.
Anything else?
Not for me.
Okay. All right. Let me get to the second reading of the vote of the LHR 1-2019, a resolution to identify the systems of roads, streets, and highways within the township under the jurisdiction of the state of Ohio, the county of Lake, and Concord Township respectively, and the corresponding requirements of care and maintenance established thereto pursuant to Ohio law. This would be our second reading. That being our second reading, Mr. Lucas, we are allowed to vote on that, is that correct?
That's correct.
I move that we pass that resolution.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, say.
Do you want to do a roll call?
I do a roll call.
Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes.
Mr. Melchesky?
Yes.
Yep. Now you can go ahead and sign it. And that one. Oop. Somebody's gonna make a motion.
Hey, Carl, you go ahead and make motions on the others.
For new business?
Yep.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to vote on Resolution 2019-08, establishing and designating additional fire lanes within Concord Township.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I'll move to approve Resolution 2019-09 to approve the 2020 tax budget.
Second it?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to vote on the fire department conditional offer of full-time employment as firefighter paramedic to Jesse Selby pending the completion of the pension physical.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to vote on fire department conditional officer of full-time employment as firefighter paramedic to Leonard Meek, pending the completion of the pension physical.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Did we skip,
We skipped Ryan
Brian
Fleming.
Fleming? Get Fleming or
D.
D?
Oh, I did, okay. Make a motion to vote on fire department conditional offer or full-time employment as firefighter paramedic to Brian Fleming, pending the completion of the pension physical.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I move that we approve a new seasonal employee, Austin Van Pelt, effective May 17th, 2019, to August 30th, 2019, at $11 an hour pending completion of new hire paperwork.
Second then, Carl?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. And I move to approve a Service Department new seasonal employee, Brendan Sweeney, effective June 3rd to August 30th, 2019, at $11 an hour pending completion of new hire paperwork.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I move that we approve a Service Department new seasonal employee, Gage Vatchett, effective June 10th to August 30th at $11 an hour pending completion of new hire paperwork.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. I move to approve the administration department PO for the amount of $21,700 for IT and computer equipment.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we need to set a public hearing for the proposed text amendment to the Concord Township zoning resolution as recommended by the zoning commission and further outlined in the attached letter dated May 9th, 2019. Want to set that for June?
June 5th.
June 5th?
Okay. At what time?
7:15.
All
Okay.
right, June 5th and 7:15. Prior to going into making a motion for executive session, I'm going to remind everybody the Memorial Day service
Yes.
on,
Mr. Malcheski, I'm sorry, can we get those two brought from the floor that are in front of you?
Oh, they,
We have the two add-on agendas.
Right.
These are the college interns I'd like to get on deck.
okay. I move that we approve new seasonal employee, college intern Lila Caston, effective June 3rd for a period not to exceed 12 weeks at $13.50 per hour pending completion of new hire paperwork.
I'll second that.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I move that we approve new seasonal employee, college intern Jacob Simperman, effective June 3rd, not for a period not to exceed 12 weeks at $13.50 per hour pending completion of new hire paperwork.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so
Thanks, sir.
Memorial Day service, in observance of Memorial Day, we will be closed, but on that Monday, May 27th at 9 a.m. in the cemetery, we will have our typical Memorial Day service, and it is really a nice event, so.
Yes.
On May 31st, we will have at 9 a.m., we'll have a staff meeting here in Town Hall, zoning commission meeting on June 4th. It's a Tuesday at 7 p.m. And then we will have our trustees' office hours at 6:30 on June 5th. At 7:15, we will have our public hearing, and at 7:30, we'll have our regular trustees' office hours. This time, we'll entertain an executive session. We go into executive session for purposes of contract negotiations with a roll call vote.
With reference to the sheriff's contract.
I so move.
I'll second it.
Roll?
Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes.
Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
Mr. Malcheski?
Yes. Okay, we will return back here, but it'll be later on, so I assume most of you will not be here. So good night to anybody that
night.
is out there on TV or in the general public.
Okay, I need a purchase order back. And two.